To my brothers and sisters at Broker's Playbook, this week I got something very special for you. As you know, in most episodes, I am interviewing 1-2 people at most about industry practices, about what's happening, what can work, what doesn't work. On this episode, I have something very special. I was lucky and blessed to sit as a moderator at one of the industry's biggest events. I'm talking about the Ontario Real Estate Association's Reality Plus event. I moderated the most exciting panel of them all, the Technology and Disruption panel. And on this panel, I interview 3 of the biggest PropTech platforms in the country today, and what their leaders believe in, what they're working on right now to make our lives easier in real estate. I hope you enjoy the episode, and of course, subscribe and review, as your feedback is critical in getting this podcast out to everyone. See you in there.
Please welcome the participants of our next panel to the stage.
You're different.
I know.
Oh
I gotta be different. So bright.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? How was David Goggins? That was incredible. That was very, very powerful. I was able to catch at least the half of it, and he is one of my idols. So I want to take a quick moment to thank our host, and a big shout out to Aria, to Tim, Luigi, and the whole team. Big, huge round of applause for our host, guys. For those who don't know me, my name is Simeon Papailias, and for about just over 15 years, I have been leading the REC Canada team based out of Royal LePage Signature here in Toronto. We have over 50 very senior brokers that transact over 500 transactions a year, almost $500 million a year, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we've been doing this using technology. In this panel today, it's going to give a little bit of insight as to somewhat of the brightest minds in this country, in this field, have to say about what's hot, what should be getting your attention, what's available to you today, in going about that. In 2020, I started both a podcast and potentially a platform called Broker's Playbook. And it's being built to be an ecosystem for every one of my brothers and sisters in this business to be able to find their why and how in this business, to be able to train, and of course to be able to fulfill by working together in a portal of collaboration. I'm very excited to dig in to these minds right here, because I can assure you I will be leveraging these very relationships to up-level, to hoist our industry and our professionalism bigger, faster, and stronger. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to this panel. And we have the amazing Natalka Falcomer, the president of Ojo Home Canada, right here. We have Ruben Gorsht, the co-founder and CEO of Deeded, which is a cutting-edge legal platform. Last but not least, Lynette Kiewowski, managing partner of Reach Canada. I'm going to start with a question to all of you. So the question is, what is the number one core value of your existing platform? And what is it you're looking to solve in this industry and elevating our brothers and sisters and doing more business faster, better?
Starting with me? Well, first of all, I'm going to point out the elephant in the room. I am wearing sunglasses. Not because I did not want to wear makeup this morning, which I never do, or because I am a diva, but rather because I actually scratched my cornea. So it's Monday, and so the light is quite painful. If you see tears, yes, I love PropTech, but not that much. It's likely just the lights. So let's talk a little bit about the core purpose, the core value of Ojo. I am a realtor, I'm a broker of record, I'm an evil lawyer as well, so I play in the game that you all play in. I know it well. And one thing that we believe in at Ojo, and I believe in, is the value of the realtor to ensure a safe, efficient, and successful home buying and selling journey. Without you, that doesn't happen. In fact, I still use a realtor for everything that I do. And yes, I've been in the business for over 11 years because I believe in the value of the realtor. So what is Ojo trying to solve? Ojo is trying to ensure that your value remains front and center by matching you with people who want to buy a home. In fact, the easy way to summarize what we do is we're like matchmakers, but for the home buying journey.
And you are de facto a lead gen company,
yes.
Founded in 2016, I believe?
Yes, around that, in the US, yes.
So you have some real data and some real track record at this point. What would you say the number one way to further your book of business using Ojo? Meaning, what would be a good way to work with this vertical?
Absolutely. So right now, we're hearing a lot of things about the market. The reality is people are still buying and selling. One thing that we are hearing is, geez, well, it doesn't really look like my clients are ready to move, or my clients this, it seems like the business is drying up. I fundamentally believe that as markets change, lead gen platforms that provide you with quality leads will start to be a big underpinning of your business.
100%.
So, and the reason being is simply, if you look at how most of us do anything nowadays, it's certainly not calling a friend for a recommendation. That still is a big part of it in our business, but not all of it. We go online, we search, we figure things out. So what Ojo does is we make sure that we capture those leads as they go through that process of searching online first and making sure that we match them with you, if you're the appropriate realtor to help them within that particular area that they're looking in. So I implore anyone within the real estate business that's buying and selling to take a look at lead gen platforms generally, evaluate them on your own merits, because they will continue to be a bigger part of your business as people move from asking friends for referrals to moving to online and looking at the ratings of particular realtors as well.
And that's because naturally people are asking for less referrals than they ever have before and doing it themselves by qualifying them online. We are seeing an increase in that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the human component is still very real, and I'll touch on that in a minute. Reuven, you're the CEO and founder of Deeded. The platform is meant to streamline, from my understanding, because I took a very deep dive into it, and I'm extremely impressed, by the way. It's meant to streamline and make the journey of the client, the broker, and the complete team potentially know what's happening, when it's happening. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking to solve for and how you bring value to the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely, Simeon. And ultimately, our vision at Deeded is to make the entire real estate transaction itself. So I know Natalka talked a lot about sort of the front end, the lead generation. Where we're focused is really in the transaction. It's really starting with the tail end, which is really the closing part of the transaction. Our vision is to really make that amazing for everybody involved in a transaction. My journey really started when I was closing on my last property, and literally got a call in the 11th hour saying, "Hey, we're missing a document, and guess what? You're not getting your keys today," which really threw my family and I into a tailspin. Effectively, we were homeless for a couple days until things got sorted out. And for all of you in the room, I expect you've seen situations when a closing gets delayed or doesn't go according to plan. It's a big domino effect, and it's a very, very big emotional impact on everybody involved. Not only the buyers or the sellers, but obviously all the professionals involved want to make sure that it's a great experience and it's a memorable one. So what we're essentially solving for is making that sort of last mile of the transaction seamless and very transparent to everybody involved. So it's a little bit ironic. I found, all of us are consumers. Have you ordered anything from Amazon? Show of hands, everybody has. How many times a year do you need to call Amazon to find out where your stuff is? Never. One person, two, very seldom. And the reason is, as consumers, we're fed with this stream of information of knowing exactly what's happening with our transaction. It could be a $5 item, it could be a pencil that you order and you know exactly what's happening. Same thing is replicated with Uber and Uber Eats. You always get those pesky texts from, hey, it's in the oven, to
It always seems that they are ahead and over-communicating.
Absolutely.
Where in our business, the number one complaint is under-communicating.
100%.
So that's where you feel the biggest value of these platforms are with satisfaction at that last mile.
Yeah, because if you think about it, so ironically, let's say I order a $10 lunch from Uber Eats, I get my insights, then I go and make the largest investment in my life, buy a house, and I have no idea what's going on. And what happens is, naturally, anxiety levels keep going up. And who takes the brunt of the anxiety? It's the realtor. It's all the professionals that are getting the calls in terms of what's going on and what's next. So our aim is to really streamline the process, make sure that the home buyer and the sellers have full visibility and have a sense of control over what's going on in their largest purchase of their lives.
I love it. I have quite a few questions that we'll get into as we go around. Lynette Kiwowski, you are with Reach Canada. You are behind the scenes. Tell us a little bit about what that journey looks like and how you're helping to change our world.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I know last minute audible for those of you that are following in the app. I'm not Frederick Towns. You may recognize that. But we do have a diva with us today, so I feel like it balances out. So thank you, Simeon. It's great to be here, and absolutely, we really sort of work in the background, as you say, solving some of those, helping to bring solutions to the market to address, kind of in large scale across the industry, some of the issues that you raised in your opening, and as well as some of the things specifically that Natalka and Reuven's solutions are solving. So I'm a former, I say this fondly, a recovering association CEO in the real estate sector. So I was the CEO of the Okanagan board for a number of years, and really in that experience, in that role, where I found a lot of passion. I would get the phone calls equally from the new technology startups that were trying to break into the space, as well as from our member real estate agents saying, we need more, better, faster, something to help me support my business through technology. And really what I discovered is, at least in the Canadian landscape, there really wasn't a resource to go to in terms of what is the right technology, what technology is necessary, what's needed, but what are the issues that we're also trying to solve, right? Are these real problems or are these perceived issues? And so what I'm passionate about with respect to Reach is, and so let me back up, who is Reach? Reach is a prodigy of the National Association of Realtors. And so back in 2008, 2009, NAR said, look we want to ensure that we're investing in the long term of the real estate agent, of the realtor. How do we do that? Technology is the future. They stood up a venture capital arm to start investing in technologies, and we'll talk about a couple of those solutions. Fast forward, how do we get those great technologies into the hands of real estate agents and then make certain that they stick around for the long term and have support to grow? Let's start a program. It's Reach. So what we do is work with technology solutions. You saw a few of them on the stage this morning to really help power what's needed in the industry. And we do that in conjunction with this amazing group of people that we get to work with every day called real estate agents.
Amazing. I'm going to go down a different path, and it's based on what I feel this conference gave to me yesterday. We're sitting right now on a technology panel, but yesterday we heard about authenticity in our messaging from a news anchor that is a stranger to no one, Lisa Laflamme. We saw a photographer become, in my personal opinion, one of the best speakers I've ever seen yesterday. That storytelling that storytelling that he did. And it was about empathy and compassion. And we saw Bill Clinton finish off saying that all his L's that were delivered were based on human error. When he disconnected from his voter is when he failed. When he connected with his voter, he won. We are in the connection business, belly to belly. The phone has never been more important. This tech panel, in my opinion, is to help me scale, to help me be faster, more productive, and better, not to replace me. That is what I feel about technology, and we have seen this in the rise and collapse of many tech platforms here and south of the border with iBuying, all the things. It cannot replace my voice, my insight, and my counsel to my clients. How do you see that sentiment inside your platform and other platforms? I want to speak more generally now, because you're the CEO of Ojo, a massive lead gen company.
Right.
How do you see your company helping me? So like, at what point does it transition to me, and what am I to do with a consumer?
Well, here's the reality. I can generate as many leads as I want. If we do not have realtors, that means nothing. It means
Big round
nothing.
of applause to that. See you later, robot.
And truly, we've seen so many companies come and go with the idea that we'll replace a realtor, and it doesn't happen and it won't happen. So our business is fundamentally built around the value of the realtor. Our mission every day certainly is to drive those leads, but it's to make sure we have the right realtor matching with them every single day. So there's no way our business is built around the backbone and the quality of a realtor.
So I agree wholeheartedly, and I like to see a lead gen platform have that at its core value, so I appreciate that. Reuven, the legal process, you refer to it as the last mile. As a leading realtor of a firm that prides itself in world-class service, that is my team's motto to the market. You work with me, you work with my team, this is what you get. That last mile, that tricky little mile, is the difference between an absolute beep experience and an amazing experience, and a review and a stream of referrals. How do you place the value of presenting technology like that to be engaging with a consumer? What's going to make the consumer log on and work with a platform like yours?
Absolutely. So I think, Simeon, you touched on something that's super important. And as we talk about, scaling the realtor, and tools and technology is just a mere accelerator of what you already do well, right? If you can't make a phone call and generate a lead, there's no technology out there, and there will never be, that will make that phone call for you and make that human connection. But if you're good at it, you can automate it. There's dialers, there's great CRMs, there's all sorts of stuff, but think of technology not as an enabler, but an accelerator. And in our case, we're a firm believer that experience means everything. Like you said, at the end of the day, there's a massive competition. There's a massive amount of competition out there, right? There's a lot of different tech plays. There's a lot of different models. We're seeing, a massive change even in brokerage models that's been talked about earlier.
And I do want to speak to those, by the way.
Yeah, but ultimately, the stat is, and there's a survey I believe Zillow did earlier this year, is that 65% of home buyers break down crying during the home buying process, right? How many of you had someone break down and cry? Maybe not in front of you, right?
Many.
It's a highly emotional, high stakes transaction. And if you look back, even 20 years ago, it's really no different. It really hasn't changed, despite all the tools, all the technology, all the education, all the investments we've made. It's still very, very emotional and frustrating to buy a house. So from our perspective, when we talk about the last mile, if you look at behavioral psychology, people will remember generally two things about any experience. They'll remember something like the peak, right? So a peak in an experience, let's take Disney, for example. You go to Disney, and you ask people what you remember, it's Space Mountain. It's got to be like that peak moment, but they'll also remember the end, right? So at the end of the day, they'll remember getting their keys. They'll remember getting their money from their sale, but they won't remember everything else. They won't remember the fact that, assuming you spent, you were in your car until 2 a.m. negotiating an offer and you got them the absolute best price for their home. So we take that from both a technology and a human experience very, very seriously to make sure that that last mile is as frictionless as it can be. And part of it is, visibility for everybody that's involved. So knowing, where you are in a transaction and what's coming up next. We often forget that buyers and sellers don't do this every day. We do, they don't. So even if they've done it 5 years ago, even if they've never bought or sold before.
It's appreciating how desensitized we are to the emotion of it and how hypersensitive the consumer and client is during the process.
Absolutely.
And appreciating that.
Yeah, and so ultimately it's about empowering the agent to be that quarterback, to be that purveyor of a great experience. Because at the end of the day, if we look at every company that's been successful, that's emerged in the last decade or two, the Amazons, the Ubers, the Airbnbs, they're not selling anything that's drastically different. They're selling accommodations, they're selling retail stuff that we've been able to buy, at supermarkets and malls for ages. They're selling a way to get from A to B or get your food, which existed for years, but they've made it so much better. They've removed the friction that we're now all about the app. I'm hungry, I don't think about where I'm gonna go out for lunch, I think about the app, right? And it just magically shows up. So that's our point of view in terms of like, if we remove the friction, it's a much better experience, and that's what resonates in terms of mind share with your clients at the end of the day.
Well, I definitely resonate with your message, and there's a reason I believe you will have success with your platform. And to all other startup CEOs or people who are thinking of getting into the space, this is exactly what should empower you to make a difference, to be able to contribute to this industry. So if you have an idea, reach out to anybody who's in it, and you will find help and support. Moving on to Lynette. Lynette, what you do, you're definitely more on the unsung hero side of the industry. And I want to talk about a couple very important things. The National Association of Realtors invested with DocuSign. As we saw in the timeline, OREA championed DocuSign and got them that legal status back in 2015, 2016. And that literally revolutionized the efficiency within my machine. I can only speak to my experience as a broker and running a team. But using DocuSign, and we were a heavy first wave adopter. We embraced it quickly. And since then, other technologies like brokerage software, et cetera, has made the business now pretty much paperless. You've worked with software like BombBomb, which literally blends the human message with technology. So instead of having to stop at 5 homes for Popeyes to get in touch with your client, you can literally hit 30, 40 people in your database in a matter of 3 to 4 hours by recording some beautiful custom messages, whipping them into their inbox, and it's exactly the same. It's exactly, they're gonna actually open it when they want to instead of you knocking on a door. But they're gonna see you, they're gonna feel you, and they're gonna get your message. Tell me how somebody in your role helps decipher what is of value and how it can be implemented into our industry for our benefit, given those two massive examples that have changed our lives.
Yeah, it's such a good point that you make, Simeon, because both of those companies, DocuSign and BombBomb, both Reach portfolio companies, Second Century Venture portfolio companies, have been around for a while, right? And they've now proliferated. And I think a big piece of what we forget as an industry is just like when you start your businesses, it takes some time to gel, right?
Sure.
Feedback's a gift. You get a lot of it, right? You get it from your clients, you get it from your broker, your fellow colleagues. So do these technology companies. And so our role really at Reach and through Second Century Ventures is to really be in tune. So we've all talked about the importance of relationships. It's no different in the context of how we work with technology companies. We need to be really in tune with not just what your needs are as real estate professionals, but what the consuming population's needs are as well. And we talked a little bit about earlier, you mentioned in your opening how the consumer public is now going and pre-vetting, pre-qualifying their properties even before they reach out to a professional, but they still need the professional. So you need to build the relationships. And so when we're looking for technologies, we don't have a crystal ball any more than anybody else does, but we see where the friction is, we see where the inefficiencies lie, and we see where people are gravitating. And we look for solutions that help facilitate removal of those barriers, removal of those walls, and really supporting where the industry is evolving. So it's a little bit like the Gretzky quote, right? It's don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck's going to be. And that's really what we try to do, because we also recognize it will take time. You saw these 3 amazing companies on stage earlier today. You know, they're at the beginning of their journey. And it's going to require relationships. It will require feedback. It will require some evolution. But that means that they need feedback. They need you to engage with the solutions to provide the feedback, because that's what will make them the tools that will support you and your clients in the business moving forward. And I know that Reuven, Natalka, Simeon, yourself, you've built platforms. It takes time to iterate.
No doubt.
So feedback is a gift. And when we are looking to work with these solutions, just like DocuSign, just like BombBomb, you need to go through those iterations quickly with your clients and building that relationship with clients. So
I'm not sure what you can and cannot say due to startups, NDAs, et cetera. Is there any platforms that you're looking at right now that are on the cusp of a breakthrough that we should be aware of? Is that something you could share with us? Or when do, for example, the 3 startups that were here today, are these companies that would typically reach out to Reach for evaluation and feedback? How does that process?
yeah, so the companies that you saw today are companies that are already working in the Reach program. And so just really quickly, the way that works is real estate companies apply to participate in our program on an annual basis. So we work with a group of 6 to 8 companies every year, and we vet them amongst hundreds. And we are looking through the lens of how do these solutions really resolve these issues? How do they enhance efficiency, remove friction, support the practitioner, you know, really kind of innovate the industry where it's ripe for innovation. And we evaluate that amongst hundreds. So then we work with 6 to 8. We work with them to help them get ready to scale and grow. And a lot of it is really helping them understand how you all work every day. Because I think, and if for any of you, particularly brokers that have answered the phone to a cold call from a technology company, you know, often there is that lack of understanding, right? And that's the relational component that we really try and address. Are there breakthroughs? I see technology never as a silver bullet, so nothing is ever going to break through, but it does evolve, right? And we've all talked about the same evolution here. We're evolving to a place where I think the consumer is moving further up in the transaction. They're already pre-vetting. Where do we need some support? I think we need more communication, more transparency, more ability for realtors to engage where their value really is, which is working directly on that emotional sort of relational, experiential part of the transaction, as opposed to, I've got to get my head down and fill out the paperwork today, check all my boxes and move on. You need to be more engaged with the clients. And so we look for those solutions that allow you to be that, more engaged with your clients.
More engaged, nurturing,
Absolutely.
And leading to higher client satisfaction.
Higher productivity,
yeah.
higher client satisfaction, absolutely.
Ms. Natalka, I would like to know 2 apps. One that you use for yourself, your productivity and efficiency,
Right.
whether it's a Monday.com or whatever the case may be. What do you use to stay on track? And number 2, what is one app you can simply not live without? start anywhere.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. So
In a world of apps.
I'm going to take your question and I'm going to do what I want, which is what I do often. So when it comes to work, Slack, my gosh, Slack is the best communication tool that exists. Totally addicted to it. I think they made it fun purposely just to get you to work more. So there's that one piece. 2, Asana is simply a checklist system that I use all the time. 3, I'm a constant monitoring of all activity that I do. So I use my Strava like a psychopath. You can certainly stalk me. Very easy to know where I go and what I do because it's always on. And then finally, one tool that I do use, and I think is so important for everybody here, because I know realtors, your business is 24/7, is to actually wind down. So I do have a bedtime function on my phone that reminds me, you got to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something that I think is very
Do
important
you
as
use
well.
Calm to finalize the day?
No, I just read a book, and that
Got it.
just makes me go to bed.
Good for you. Good for you, Reuven. Again, same context. Tell me what you're doing to manage your day and.
Yeah, no, so times are very different. I mean, we manage our entire team's virtual. Everyone's working from home and decentralized, really all over. You know, we're in 3 provinces now, so Slack is our lifeline.
I saw you checking it.
Yeah, so and it's probably going off in my pocket right now, but it really brings that cohesiveness and teamwork into the next level. And we've seen, we've seen some really amazing capabilities of it to not only manage activities and chat, but actually build a community and build engagement, which I think is lacking. Right, we've all been through COVID. Yeah, things are coming back to normal, but guess what? Your Zoom calls are not going away. People still want to do virtual calls, and frankly, it's an efficiency tool. If you can get 5-10 meetings a day on 100%. Zoom versus spending 3 hours in traffic to get to a half-hour lunch, why not, right? And we often forget. I know, Simeon, you use the belly-to-belly notion. We often forget that sometimes people, time is a finite asset. So people,
But I think we need to be able to determine the weight of the meeting.
Absolutely.
So belly to belly will close, in my opinion, 80% higher.
Yeah.
However, if I can replace the lead up with Zoom, I have now been 80% more productive. So I agree with that, but please continue.
Yeah, and that's, so Slack, huge on notes in my phone. It's very unstructured, but that's how I thrive, and sort of that's my little management system, and keeping notes and to-dos and things like that. It's very, very simplistic. Not really high tech as it should be, but that's my go-to every morning, making the lists and crunching right through them.
Amazing, Lynette.
So I will agree, but I will slightly veer off. Slack is obviously the lifeline of our organization too. And not only are we remote, we're a global team. So we have programs that operate US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and being able to share all of that day-to-day activity in a local instance is massively mind-blowing, but game-changing in terms of our ability to deliver consistently around the world. So absolutely, but nothing, and I agree, you can have all the platforms you want. If you don't have a system and you don't work the system, it doesn't really matter. My favorite saying is you can't mistake activity for progress, and so we measure progress all the time. And we do that pretty simply. We use the G Suite. So we use we use collaboration tools a lot, and we keep them simple, but we're mindful of monitoring progress to our actual goals every day. And unless we do that, it is just activity every day. On a personal level, can't live without my Oura Ring, because I agree, unless we are all looking after ourselves from a health and well-being point of view, we're probably not productive either. So Oura is my go-to.
I personally use Slack. I'm the least adoptive on it of my whole team, but our entire structure, from our director of operations all the way to every activity, relies heavily on it. I have slowly and surely been getting into it to try to check off those items, but in combination with Monday.com, which is another Asana, et cetera, is what we use for project management on each of the millions of verticals that we're working on at any time. I strongly recommend to every single person in this room the best CRM, the best app, the best anything is the one that you will actually commit to and use. Understand that. All the fancy, all the apps, all the newest, latest, and greatest mean nothing if it's not implemented properly and integrated into your business for efficiency. That's what technology is for, in my opinion. I want to thank every single one of you for joining me on this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for listening. Appreciate you.
That's us. That was fun.
Thank you so very much for spending your time with us here at Brokers Playbook. This is a growing community. If you found value in this video, please invite others to subscribe and, of course, share the videos with. We'll see you soon.